Okay mga buddy, kumusta na kayo? Nandito na naman tayo para sa isang reaction video. Pero bago tayo dumako dyan sa ating topic na yan, meron lang tayong katanungan. Naranasan nyo na ba sa buong buhay ninyo na meron kayong malapit na kakilala, malapit na kaibigan or kamag-anak na talagang pinagkatiwalaan nyo ng husto noong mga panahong masagana ang buhay ninyo? Nandyan sila at kasama ninyo. Pero dumadating sa point ng buhay natin na tayo ay minsan umaabot sa kumbaga sa hindi inaasahan. Nagkakaroon tayo ng mga problema, nagkakaroon tayo ng mga balakid sa ating buhay. At kung kailan kailangan natin ng tulong or ng moral support ng ating mga kaibigan na yan, ng mga kamag-anak, saka sila nawawala, saka sila umaalis sa ating buhay. Maaaring noong tayo ay masagana ang buhay ay nandyan sila, pero kung dumating na tayo ay naghihirap, bigla silang nawawala at hindi na natin mahagilap. So itong ating kwento na ito ay tungkol sa nangyari sa Marcoses. At ito ay kinuwento detalyado ni Madam Rita Gadi. Ito ay patungkol noong sila ay nasa Honolulu, nung sila ay dinala na nga doon at sila ay nanirahan doon ang mag-asawang Marcos at yung kanyang pamilya, na kung saan ay kailangan nila ng mga kaibigan, sana kailangan nila ng mga moral support dun sa mga taong nung sila ay nasa posisyon, si Ferdinand Marcos ay kasama nila at nakikisaya sa kanila kasama ng kanyang administrasyon. Pero dumating yung point pala doon na kung saan ay yung mga inaakala nila na malalapit na kaibigan nila, na mga loyal sa kanila, ay iniwan sila. So ganun ang nangyari sa Marcoses nung sila ay nasa Honolulu. At ito nga ay kinukwento ni Madam Rita Gadi. Makikita nyo ito or mapapanood nyo dun sa kanyang video na kung saan ang title ay Remembering. Pero itong ating tatalakayin ay tungkol sa mga tao din na trumaidor sa pamilya Marcos. At ito naman ay kinuwento dito sa 4 days of February 1986 sa The Rita Gadi Hour. So mula February 22, 23, 24, 25. Ayan, yung mga araw na yan, ikinuwento detalyado ni Madam Rita Gadi yung mga kaganapan. Isa sa nagbigay sa akin ng pansin ay itong mga tao, mga kasapi, mga kasama sa administrasyon ng Marcos na tumalikod sa kanya noong panahon na medyo tumatagilid na yung kanyang administrasyon. So nung 22, ikinukwento dito ni Madam Rita yung pagtalikod ni Juan Ponce Enrile. Siya yung pinaka-Secretary of Defense, parang ganon, minister ata siya noon. Tumalikod siya ng suporta kay Marcos. Then ang sumunod ay si General Fidel Ramos, yung ating naging dating presidente, na head ata ng ng Philippine Constabulary or PC. At yung isa na tao na kung saan ay nanungkulan sa Duterte administration na naging controversial. Ito pala noon ay naging close-in security ni Imelda Marcos. Pinag-aral nila, pinag-training sa ibang bansa, at kasama nga ng mga Marcoses sa mga lakad, sa mga events. Kumbaga siya na yung pinagkatiwalaan na magprotekta dito sa ating First Lady. May access na rin siya sa mga lagusan, sa mga access dyan sa Malacanang. Pero noong 23, ito palang tao na to ay kasapi ng RAM or yung Reform Armed Forces Movement ni Enrile. At ito pala ang ginawang espiya ng RAM para masubaybayan ang mga Marcos, para makuha niya ang tiwala ng mga Marcos. Kaya alam niya yung mga pasikot-sikot sa Malacanang. Ito ay nahuli na kung saan ay may dalang dagdag na security na ang intention pala ay i-hostage ang first family. Intention pala nitong tao na to dahil nga siya ay kasapi ng RAM. Pero hindi alam yon ng mga Marcoses. Noon lamang nung mahuli siya, kasi ang chief of staff ni Marcos ay si General Ver. Nagduda sila dahil bakit may mga kasamang dagdag na security pero wala namang order or wala namang instruction ata yung chief of staff. Nung sila ay kinumpronta, doon na nalaman na ito palang tao na to ay kasapi ng RAM at sinubaybayan ang kilos ng mga Marcos, sinubaybayan ang pasikot-sikot din dun sa Malacanang. So nung mahuli, binanggit dito ni Rita Gadi yung pangalan. So ito, pakinggan natin si Rita Gadi dito sa kanyang pahayag.
To step down, etc. and all of this, and then what happened then on February 23rd? Well, you had this Ricardo Morales, who was one of the members of the Reformed Armed Forces of the Philippines, of the RAM. Together, he was together with the group of Minister Enrile, and of course of several of those who already broke away from the military and joined Minister Enrile. So there was a group of supposedly um, security men that entered the PSG command center across the Pasig River, which is across Malacanang, and it was headed by Ricardo Morales, Dick Morales. Who is Ricardo Morales? Well, he was part of the close-in of the First Lady, Madame Imelda Romualdez Marcos. Close-in meaning that he was already part of the security group of the Presidential Security Command then at the time, and he was being trained to take the place of Colonel Ratcliffe, who was the chief aide-de-camp of Mrs. Marcos. Colonel Ratcliffe would be assigned to another, well, to some battle zone so that he can be promoted to be general. That's how it is. You cannot just get a promotion by, sitting in as aide-de-camp. You had to have some battle experience. So he was gearing up for that, and he was training, or Ricardo Morales was already being trained to take over his position. As a matter of fact, that was how I personally met him, because he was already traveling with Mrs. Marcos' delegation whenever Mrs. Marcos had an official mission abroad, so that he would know how to be able to deal with security officers of the foreign country, and of course, the other protocols that were needed as far as an aide-de-camp is concerned. So that was the several years, as a matter of fact, that he has been traveling with us, and that was how I personally met him. But we did not know at the time that he was part of that group of the RAM, which broke away from Secretary Enrile. That was the only time it became evident that after all the training that he got to replace Colonel Ratcliffe as the aide-de-camp of Mrs. Marcos, he already had access. In other words, he was not prevented from entering the inner chambers of Malacanang, the private chambers, close to the bedroom, perhaps the library or the adjacent rooms. But this is outside of the ceremonial hall. These are the private chambers, so to speak. So he had access to this. And that was the reason why he was the one sent by the RAM soldiers to the PSG so that he could penetrate Malacanang, because he was known to the rest of the other PSG. But he was caught. Why? Because one of those that noticed, one of those that questioned why he had to bring in additional security in Malacanang without any go signal from the Chief of Staff, which was General Ver. So you had one of the sons of General Ver, Irwin Ver, who was the one who said, there is something wrong here because we are not asking for additional security for Malacanang. Why is Dick Morales there? He would have crossed the river and he would have entered Malacanang, and the intent there was to hold the first family as hostage. That was part of the movement that they should have done, but he was caught. He was caught, and he had to admit that he was instructed to do that as much. That was February 23. And if you were still viewing television at the time and Channel 4 was not yet cut off from the air, then you would have seen President Marcos in Malacanang presenting Dick Morales and several of his men, I think 4 or 5 of them, not the entire group that he had, but 4 or 5 of them, presented them in public and said, this is the group of the RAM that wanted to infiltrate the security of Malacanang. They wanted to enter here, and they were caught, and so Marcos said that they will be given disciplinary action or whatever it is. So that was made public. That was Dick Morales. If you will remember that name, Dick Morales
Okay, so yung susunod na sasabihin ni Rita Gadi, ito na yung Dick Morales sa kasalukuyan.
Morales now resigned from the PhilHealth because of these billions of pesos that will still have to be accounted for. What happened? After 30 years or so, he was able to ingratiate himself, got appointed to several positions, and then got appointed to be the head of our PhilHealth, where up to now we still have to find out what happened to the billions and billions of pesos that should be accounted for. He headed the PhilHealth. He had to resign. He was asked to resign, and he is now facing cases. That is Dick Morales today. He was the Dick Morales 35 years ago who wanted to enter Malacanang because he was being trained as the aide-de-camp of Mrs. Marcos and to hold hostage the first family. February 23, 1986.
So yan po ang makatotohanang pahayag ni Rita Gadi tungkol dito sa nangyari na pagtatraidor ng mismong aide-camp ng close-in security ni Mrs. Marcos. At ito nga ay si Ricardo Dick Morales na nag-resign dahil sa mga alegasyon dito sa PhilHealth. So, walang iwanan para sa bayan. Imman Supremo po. See you next time mga buddy.